Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So let us go for the banking section. In the banking section, we will discuss the following topics. But the first one is, of course, right check. First, what is the purpose of right check? Right check is one of the way of making a payment. If you remember in the previous videos, we discussed that there are two types of purchase. Purchase can be on cash and purchase can be on credit, or not only purchase, any kinds of expenses. If any expenses happen in the business, you can pay on the spot and also you can pay later. If you want to pay later on, first of all you have to enter the bill and then make the payment. That is already discussed under vendor section. But this next section, if you want to make payment on the spot, you some expenses incur in the business, or you purchase something in the business and you want to pay on the spot. In this case, you have to use from right check. So right check is for the purpose of paying someone or paying for the expenses on the spot. It means at the time of incurring the expenses, right? So we can say this is the way of cash payments. So we're not giving direct cash, of course. Cash payment simply means the on the spot. So in this case, we issue check. So we can issue check to anyone. We can issue check to the vendors. We can issue check. We can say to the suppliers. We can issue check to the owner of the business if owner of the business want to withdraw something from the business, need some amount from the business. We can issue check, for example, sometime for the customers if there are, for example, some requirement, right? We can do it. So to anyone, if we want to make a payment through check, so we can use from right check, right? So this was the purpose of right check. So we have to make a payment. Basically, in nature of some expenses are like that we cannot postpone for the future. If you can postpone it, of course, you can use from interbill. But for some expenses, we cannot postpone it. If you cannot postpone it, definitely you have to make on-the-spot payments. On-the-spot payment, for the purpose of on-the-spot payment, we use from right check, right? So in order to open the right check, there are shortcut as well, Control W, but you can press on this one. Click on this one. The first thing that you can see is the bank account. If you want to make a payment, so from which bank account you want to make a payment. Let us say, for example, let us collect this one, see how many bank account do we have. One account, for example, AIB Bank, the other bank account is Kabul Bank. On the right side, you can see the balance in this account, how much balance is available, right? This was the balance of Kabul Bank, and this is the balance of AIB Bank, right? Good. Next one is pay to the order of. Pay to the order of means to whom we want to make a payment. To anyone you want to make a payment, so you can select his name, right? For example, we want to pick me. Usually, of course, we make a payment for the vendors. If you want to make a payment to the vendors, if you want to make a payment to the employees, sometime, for example, sometime due to some requirement, we can pay to the customers, or otherwise, for example, to the owner of the business. If you want, you can make a payment. Although name of owner of the business is not available here, but when you click on the add new, you can find out four groups: vendors, customers, employees, and others. Others can be anyone. To anyone you want to make a payment, to the charitable organization you want to make payment, to the government you want to make payment, to the owner of the business you want to make a payment, to anyone if you want to make a payment. So click others. Click on OK. Then mention, for example, owner, right? Mention owner. For example, owner. Just not name. Rest of the information you can fill up the contact information and so on. Let us say this is okay. So if you want to make payment to the owner, so click owner or select owner of the business. Or otherwise, usually we want to make payment to our suppliers. Let us say this time you want to make a payment to one of our supplier by the name of, leave this one, by the name of ABC. ABC is one of our suppliers, so we want to make a payment to him, right? Date of payment, which date we want to make a payment. For example, this is today's date. If you want to make, for example, some other date, you can change the date. Let us say, for example, this check was for yesterday. So make it this one, right? See, it is basically here it is mentioned to print. Why this option is inactive? Because this is ticked. So please untick this one. Now it show a number. This number means this is the check number. It means out of AIB Bank we have issued how many checks? We have issued 3 checks. Let me select Kabul Bank. For Kabul Bank it is check number 1, right? So here basically it shows the check number. Unless it is ticked. When it is ticked, so it does not show, it shows to print. It means print later. But when you click this one, so it means print right now, but this is check number 3, right? Here you can mention the amount of the check. How much, for example, you want to make payment. Let us say, for example, we want to make a payment of 10,000, right? And of course, this is the address of the vendors. So where is his address? You can mention, for example, let us say Kabul, for example, right? Kabul, Afghanistan. Okay, for example, right? This is the address, and this is the memo. If you want to make a specific memo, so you can mention the memo as well here, right? And below part, there are 2 sections. One section by the name of expenses, and the second section by the name of item. Expenses first. Basically here it shows that if you want to make a payment, suppose for example, payment of 10,000. This payment of 10,000 is for what purpose, right? So you can select the expenses if it is because of some expenses. Let us say, for example, this amount of 10,000 that we want to pay is because of meals and entertainment, right? Or for example, this amount of 10,000 that you want to pay is because of, for example, health insurance, because of this one. Just it shows that this expenses or this amount which you want to pay is belong to which type of expenses, right? Let us say, for example, this is belong to meals and entertainment. But for meals and entertainment, let us say, for example, 5,000 is belong to meals and entertainment. Let us select some other expenses as well. For example, we can say printing, leave this one. Let us say, for example, rent expenses, right? Let us say, for example, 4,000 is belong to rent expenses. If there are, for example, several expenses, it means if this check is issued for several expenses, you can mention several expenses. Otherwise, you can mention only one type of expenses, right? For example, let us say this is for repair and maintenance as well. So this is 10,000, and this 10,000 is basically split it into 3 parts: 5,000 for this expenses, and of course 3,000 for this, 4,000 for this expenses, and 1,000 for this expense. Or otherwise, if the check which you want to issue is because of some items. Items means, so you purchase some items, right? For example, you can select the items. For example, what you purchase, let us say I have purchased book. How many book you purchase? For example, I have purchased, we can say 2,000 books, right? This is the case. 2,000 book, each book is 120, the total become 2,40,000, right? For example, I have purchased, we can say battery as well, right? How many battery you have purchased? For example, I have purchased 1,000 battery, right? Depends how many items you want to purchase, or for example, any expenses. So simply we can say the check which you want to issue, it can be for expenses as well as it can be for items, right? Now, as this amounts or more and this amount is less, so you can click on recalculation. So click on recalculation, it shows the total amount. How much is the total amount? 2,75,000. So this check is issued for 2,75,000. You can read this amount here as well. 275,000, right? If there is this point as well, for example, let us say it is 98, right? So here you can see the point as well. See, now you can find out this points, right? But otherwise, if it is the complete digit, so it does not show anything, it shows just 0 amount, right? That's the case. So this was the purpose of write check. So write check can be used for the expenses, write check can be used for anything. Save and new this one. You can issue check for, say this is now check number 4, right? You can issue check, for example, for owner of the business, or you can issue check, for example, to any vendors. If you want to make payment to any vendor, for example, say no. See, this is one of our vendor. If you want to make a payment to this vendor, on if it is not your, we can say, if this is not because of any specific expenses, if this is because of the previous purchase, if this amount which you want to pay, let us say for example you want to pay amount of 20,000. If this amount of 20,000 is not belong to any specific expenses, if it is belong to account payable, on that case you can select your account payable, right? Account payable means this is the, we can say, the past payable or past liability of the business. So long back we purchased something from a legal, the amount was 20,000, now we have to pay it. If you want to pay, on that case you have to select your account payable, right? So then you can save and new this one. This is check number 5, it increased, right? If you want to pay, to owner of the business, select owner of the business, but under expenses account, do not select any expenses. In this case, you have to select any equity account, right? So equity account or drawing account. Why? Because this is the drawing. If owner of the business want to take something from the business, so you have to consider it as what? As drawing, right? You can mention, for example, let us say this owner of the business want to withdraw 40,000 from the business. So you have issued a check to owner. To which owner? To owner partner number 1 or partner number 2 or so on, right? In this way, you can use the write check.